program for sure. 28 state championships in a row. So we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the characteristics perhaps that you looked for in developing getting to a great program of the right people and getting the right people on the bus.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of things that go into that, and to be as brief as possible. One of them kind of errors that I've seen with students and other coaches that I've talked to in the past about this is that they start thinking about the characteristics of who to have on the bus in terms of physical or kind of anthropometric measurements and skill sets that are directly related to technical and tactical things. And obviously those things are important, but the best sustained great programs that I've ever seen, they always start with the human parts, right? With the personality traits and the character aspects. And rather than ending with those, they start with the, what the people's work ethics are they collaborative? Are they curious? Do they seek out challenges or do they avoid them? Do they see the competitors around them and their teammates as motivations for greatness, or do they see them as like obstacles that they need to try and undermine? The people who do the great programs have found a way to get the right people because of kind of who they are rather than what they can do.
So how do you go about determining those things that you described? Because I'm looking at these discussion boards, and we say that as coaches, yeah, we want good character people, we want these things, but how do you determine that when you have a week of tryouts perhaps, or we're going through the recruiting process? How do we determine those things so that we're getting the right people?
All right. And one of the things that I do want to say is that you don't necessarily have to make all of those decisions within that week, right? Is that you really getting the right people on the bus is an absolutely ongoing process. That somebody can look like the right person on the bus, or somebody that you may not be completely sure of, but you don't have to make a final decision, after a week of tryouts. If everybody is aware of like, this is what's expected to be part of our team, and when you stop doing that, you will no longer be part of our team, and that could happen at any time, right? That you've taken the pressure off yourself of having to always guess right. And then the other thing is it gives you the option to actually be a great coach and help bring some people along as well. So they may not completely get it right at the very beginning. As Bruce Brown is a guy who's written on coaching, has been a very successful coach himself a lot. He talks about, I do the best I can to coach you, but eventually I either have to play you or trade you. And if they haven't made it evident that they should be somebody that you're playing based on their character and their work ethic and their how good of a teammate they are, then that comes the time where it's like this is what you have to do to be on our team. You're not doing that. You don't get to be on the team anymore.
Right.
And it's really, you've chosen not to be part of the team because you aren't doing the things that we've done our best to help you do.
Yeah, and that goes around developing that culture where that's it. That's the hedgehog concept. That's the one thing, and people want to be a part of that. And if you're not, then you're not the right fit.
Right.
So I think that's a nice take-home message, but it's persistence to be able to do that, and that's kind of where sometimes I think we see this big 6'10" athlete sometimes, and we stray away, or this great athlete, we stray away from that one thing, those components that you just discussed of the right people, and that's where we kind of maybe get sidetracked. You want to elaborate on that?
Okay, so and there was one other thing that I wanted to say, but it does relate back to what the point that you were just making, is that when we are in that kind of selection phase where we are trying to figure out who to bring on board and who not to, that that one of the things is to start watching very closely about all of the things that they're doing. Are they self-starters? Do they take direction well? Do they take correction well? Are they the people who want to be at the front of the line? Are they early? Are they working out on their own? Right? Are they doing things like that? That again, if somebody could have all of the moves and all of the skills, but if they're 20 minutes late every day during the during your tryout period, it's a pretty good indication that that's what you're going to get the rest of the time. Now, again, to start off, that's something that you can try and coach them up and say, look, everybody on this team is here ready for practice when we huddle at the beginning. You haven't been here yet. I'm not convinced that you really want to be part of this team or that you can be part of this team. And that discussion happening early can be really powerful. That discussion after everybody's told them that how important they are to the team because they're 6'10", they can shoot with their left hand. You're going to have a much tougher time recreating your culture after that if they were the wrong person to start with.
Right.
So those are the things that we're looking for. I take an analogy from kind of the artistic world where my daughter went to school. They are hired based on their ability to do two seemingly completely opposite things at the same time. One is to be able to work according to the book. So I give you here is the vision. This is the way we do things here. And then at the same time, be able to add kind of that personal flavor to be able to help make us better, not because they're 100% compliant to what we're doing, but because they also have the ability to work within this really rigid structure that we have, but also find ways to help us be better. So to be able to put that individual, you're looking for people that can do that. So they're following directions, they're taking instruction, but you also see their ability to kind of put their own personal flavor on that. Those are people that you will enjoy coaching, number one, and number two, more likely to be successful.
Okay. Good. That was some good insight there. Last thing here. All right. So take me through. Let me paint a picture for you. You're a high school soccer coach. Maybe you're not getting many people to come out for the team, so you don't have a lot really to choose from to ensure that you kind of have the right people, and you don't really have that luxury. Take me through that process of how and we want to become great. So take me from that process of how we get the right people into that great program. Okay, so you're saying that we got to deal with the three kind of stinkers because we've got 12 people who went out for the team, and if we really chucked everybody off the bus right at that moment, then the bus parks and the season is over. Right. All right. Here's one thing, and I'm just going to get this out, and then we'll talk about kind of the more likely to actually occur to coaches. But if they truly are that bad of people, exactly the wrong people, then it's actually better to shut it down and start grooming, start recruiting, start doing things that is more likely to get you ready to go next year, rather than have to walk back and do damage control because you made an awful lot of the wrong compromises just in order to field a team. Because people will understand that you are serious. There is nothing that is more serious than saying, we don't have enough of the right people right now. We're going to go to work and getting the next group of people ready for next year, and we're not going to waste our time with this group. All right, now that's death penalty kind of a move, but if you are really serious and they are really that big of a problem, then that you need to keep that on the table. All right, now the reality is that even if you have three stinkers, you get to celebrate
the 9 kids that are doing a great job and pay attention to them, coach them, right? And then what we call, you're going to try and inoculate this team that you're trying to build with from the bad influences that you may have, or, like the disturbing influences. If they're really bad influences, then you need to do something different. But the key is like, what kind of message are you trying to send to the people who thought about coming out but ended up not coming out? And how do you take that place and make it a place that other kids really want to be? And the decisions that you make with the people that you keep and how you do that is going to be really important for seasons to come. I have seen plenty of programs that have taken the shortcut, kind of taken the kids that were going to be problems, but could actually help them win games, help them win meets, help them win contests. But it was a real short-sighted thing, and those teams have never really gained traction in terms of becoming a great program. They've been good for short periods of time. There's been a spike in their stock, as Jim Collins would talk about, but it was nothing that could be sustained. And usually the dips that come after these spikes are so big that the coaches ended up moving on and trying to find another place to get lucky, right? So if you're in a place where you've got limited kids that are currently interested in your sport, be very careful about the shortcuts that you take in the attempt to become a great program. And the other thing is always be thinking about the kids that are there that are doing the right things. Great character, working hard, taking instruction, striving to get better, right? And representing your team well. That encourage them, foster them, nurture them, and then make it so that every friend of theirs wants to be on your team too. That the other kids go like, I don't know much about this sport, but I know that I'm comfortable and I like hanging out with this kid, and that's how we start to get numbers up. The great programs, and I think this is absolutely a constant, is that they are in places where people have started to assume, oh, you are from X place, you must be A, right? Basketball in Indiana is the way that it is because in Indiana, basketball is culturally ingrained. But if you go other places where people have made, like that is just the place to be, right? That's what we do here. I told you the example of Sheridan football, and the other one in Wisconsin. Really small schools, but over 50% of the boys in the schools play football because that is the place that every 8th grade boy can't wait to be a 9th grade boy and get to be a part of that program.
So it's developing that culture and sometimes making the sacrifice that we're not going to stray from the right, what we know the right people are. So that means that we may not fill the roster to 10. We keep 6 of the right people, right? And we go to battle with the right 6 because essentially in the end, it's better to coach those 6 good character people to good talent,
right?
Talent level, rather than trying to take these 3 highly talented people that aren't the right people and trying to make them the right people, trying to motivate them to be the right people is, I think, where we
right. And
most coaches stray. I know I've done that.
Right. And in a culture of discipline,
be the right person. We can motivate them. And it's just
right.
It's not.
And that gets back to the chapter where he talks about a culture of discipline, right? And that it takes discipline as a coach to not be thinking that I'm closer to having a great program if I win 3 more contests this year. And having these guys, I can put up with them, I can make these compromises, and having these 3 players that are going to cause us some problems. I may be in the principal's office some more. I may be talking to the AD, but these guys are going to help us win 3 games. They may help you win 3 games this year, but they don't attract anybody else to really want to be part of your program.
Yeah, and it doesn't develop that
Right.
culture for greatness across the sustainability.
Right. It takes discipline to not take that short-term view and to say, look, like having these, and maybe that's the question to always ask yourself before you make selection is, having these 4 guys on my team, is it going to make it more likely that the 6th graders in my district are going to be excited, that are going to want to be part of this program?
Right. I think it's a great take-home message. We're going to shut it down there. Thanks, Rock.
Hey.
Always appreciate